Hello there, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the Duality of Life podcast. My name is Julia. Super grateful that you're here. I hope you're doing well. And I'm holding a spatula with a microphone attached to it. Yes, we are here. We have resorted to this because my actual podcast mic has been giving me troubles recently. So we've ended on spatula microphone. And I'm digging it. I hope you're digging it. I hope it gives you a little bit of a giggle because it gives me a little bit of a giggle. And throughout some heaviness that I'm going to be diving into in this episode, I hope that maybe this gives just a little bit of lightness and a little bit of play. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see me. If you're not watching this on YouTube, head over to YouTube and give this a little watch. Okay, anyways, I struggled very much with self-compassion, and part of me hates to admit that because I think at different points in my life I was better at it than other points, but I think I've really just pulled myself out of the depths of some shit recently. And looking back at about a year ago, I was struggling. I was really struggling. And the one thing that just kept cycling in my head was that it shouldn't have happened. The trauma that I endured, the things that I suffered, quote unquote, with when I was a child, they just shouldn't have happened. And for so long, I was sitting in so much shame that I was trying to just skip from shame right to forgiveness. I was trying to hear what social media and people were telling me about trauma and just how you need to, let go and forgive and, accept and bring some positivity. Like that toxic positivity culture just kind of like weaves its way through so many different facets of my life, and I know so many others as well. And I then realized that I had to be angry. Like I wasn't like allowing myself to be angry. I wasn't allowing myself to just like recognize that that was shit. And now it's affected me and my relationships and how I am capable of giving and receiving love, how different micro nuances in relationships and friendships really affect me. And finally, last year, I allowed myself to be angry about these things. Instead of trying to be the bigger person, quote unquote, and forgive my parents, forgive the people that hurt me, I allowed myself to be really fucking mad. Who the fuck treats a child like that? Who the fuck does that to someone? And this anger was like so cathartic, but also like really needed to move past that like shame-based positivity mindset into the next layer of my healing. But it also got me stuck. After a while of navigating this, like it shouldn't have happened, fuck you, like that's shit, type of energy, which like really fueled something inside of me and gave me some relief and gave me some reconciliation for myself. I then also was like sitting in this stew of it shouldn't have happened. And after a while of that, my therapist said to me, stop burying your head in the sand. You're doing the same thing that your parents have done to you, to yourself. Your inner child needs you. Your inner child needs your love. And that fucking shook me. That shook me. That was like a good aha moment. I was like, oh my God, I'm burying my head in the sand. I am forgetting about that little girl. I'm forgetting about the little girl that those things happened to. I'm so angry at the fact that people can treat children like that. I'm so angry at the fact that these things happen to children, still happen to children, are gonna keep happening to children. I'm so angry at the reality of the world and how people can hurt children emotionally, physically, sexually. I am so angry at that reality that I was forgetting about my inner child. I was forgetting about the part of myself that experienced those things. And although anger pulled me out of this like toxic positivity, almost illusion of wanting to forgive, which was really just shame. I was really just shaming myself more for like not being the perfect human and not getting over it as soon as possible and moving on to my highest enlightenment. I was so ashamed that I wasn't like getting to that point that something broke, and I finally allowed myself to be angry. And it actually was like it was a breakup that triggered the anger. I saw a guy for a few weeks, literally just a few weeks. Sometimes that's all you need. Literally a few weeks. And he triggered me into having like this like tantrum. And in that, I really recognized how angry I was for the fucked up shit that happened in my childhood, because I was like feeling the weight of the reality of how these things have really affected how I give and receive love, like I've already mentioned, and how then painful a 3-week situation with a guy that probably was going to go nowhere anyways really, really, really affected me. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some things affect people differently, but it was like this I'm gonna be blunt, guys. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place right now because I'm trying to like string together all of these thoughts. But what triggered me was this stupid man asking me how many people I had slept with. Like, what's your body count? I fucking hate that so much. Oh my god, guys, I hate it so much. I hate that question. It's so stupid. But that question has triggered me since like the moment I recognized what I was asking. Because for so long, I thought I was a willing participant in my sexual abuse. For so long, I thought I was a part of it. And so when that question was said and like joked about in high school, I internalized it so deeply, thinking that, well, I've been doing these things since I was like 4. So like, what does that say about me? Like, I'm definitely a slut. Like, I'm definitely a whore. I'm definitely not worthy of love because of these things. I'm definitely like not worthy of a boyfriend or a relationship because, you know, I've been doing these things for so long. And so somebody asking that to me as an adult still triggers that like that intensity inside of me. It still triggers that like hurt inside of me, that pain inside of me. And when he asked me that, and then shortly after then like ended things with me, I just spiraled into this understanding of how much anger I'm actually holding inside of me because of these things that happened. And I screamed, I cried, I flailed on the ground, I punched shit, I punched myself, I like ran myself into walls. I was like just having a fucking tantrum. And this like went off and on for multiple days. And from there, that knowing that those things like shouldn't have happened to me, and by that is like they just shouldn't happen in general. They just shouldn't be a part of fucking life. Like, nobody should be hurting children. That anger was set. It really, really set in. And I moved from that like toxic positive shame to anger, which is like such a beautiful and important step. It's such an important step when it comes to healing. And I was there and I recognized how important that was. But then after so long, like I've already mentioned, my therapist recognized that I wasn't moving out of it. I wasn't moving out of the gooky anger. And so then I felt stuck. I felt depressed. I was internalizing this anger and just not moving through it. And so when she told me that I was burying my head in the sand, I recognized that I needed to be there for her. I needed to talk to myself as if I was a child. In the same way, I as an adult would go to a child, or a child would come to me, and I would speak nicely and kindly and acceptingly and openly with them. I had to do the same thing for myself. for that part of myself that was hurt. For that little girl that was hurt, that internalized all of that shit. And I did this in many different modalities, but one of which, one powerful way, was kind of intercepting my way in different memories. And I have previously talked about this in a different podcast, and I was sharing a story about how, I don't know, time is not linear, by the way. So there's some like crazy things that have happened in my life that I feel like I can't really explain other than just being like, time is not linear. This is wild. I don't get it. But okay. And I was like intercepting into these memories and picking that little girl up and giving her love and giving her space to be a child. I was giving her words of encouragement and words of acceptance and words of reassurance. And so I was almost like really creating these memories and adding some like love into them. I was reminding my inner child in these, PTSD, flashback memories, that she was loved. And I would do this in calm moments with myself. I would meditate. I was doing okay. I was calm. I was, relatively happy in these moments that I would sit down and meditate and intercept these memories and add some love and add some positivity and add some reassurance to my inner child in these moments. And this is what has got me into eventually being able to, when I am in difficult emotions, when I am in pain, giving myself that compassion, giving myself that inner reassurance, that acceptance, that inner love that we all so desperately need when we are in painful moments. If we can't give ourselves compassion in small moments, it's going to be so difficult to give ourselves compassion in difficult moments. And so that's why giving myself compassion in these moments that I was feeling good and just allowing myself to go back to these memories without it being a flashback, without it being a PTSD moment because I had been triggered by such and such event. And then bringing that self-compassion into different areas of my life as well. Noticing when, somebody talks to me a little bit harshly or, makes me feel uncomfortable, and those inner thoughts start to kind of rush or become overwhelming. Those kind of smaller micro moments of overwhelm and anxiety that are a lot more manageable than like trauma-related overwhelm and anxiety. I started to actively give myself assurance and acceptance in these moments. And although it almost felt like forced or false or made up in some weird way, I knew that doing that for myself was going to build trust. It was going to build a strong foundation for myself. And that's what I think self-compassion is really about. It's building a strong foundation. And it doesn't just happen all of a sudden. When you're happy and everything's perfect, you're going to have amazing self-compassion. It is built in moments that almost feel unnatural, that almost feel a little bit forced, that almost feel like you're lying to yourself a little bit. But being that adult, that reasonable, responsible, caring, loving, holding space adult, especially if you never had one as a child, is so important to give yourself as an adult. So that way, when you are in moments of extreme anxiety, maybe even a tantrum like me, those thoughts of reassurance and acceptance and compassion can start to trickle through these painful, intense, horrible thoughts that are bouncing around in your skull. And again, it starts so slow. That one tantrum that lasted several days was not the only tantrum that I've had over the last year or so, year and a half or so. I've had many, many, many. And the last few, I've noticed how much that work of self-compassion has actually helped. I'm able to soothe myself so much faster. Instead of it lasting a few days, maybe it's only a few hours or an afternoon. And then I can get up the next day and probably feel a little bit drained, probably feel a little bit, low energy, because, hey, emotions are big and emotions take up a lot of energy, a lot of mental, emotional bandwidth. And so giving myself that aftercare, making myself tea, making myself something to eat, going for a slow walk, taking care of myself as if I was sick or dealing with a lot. And that's the thing, is sometimes we forget that these emotional things are actually a lot on the body. When you hold tension, when you hold trauma, when you hold these things inside of your body, it is so much. And to release it in some way, I feel like releasing is a bit of a funny way to kind of phrase those intense emotions, like when you let it out, like I'm calling it a tantrum. It is a bit of a release in a way, allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to reach yourself in the depths of those emotions. But oh my God, is it ever draining? It is exhausting. And so I've went from these tantrums lasting a few days to maybe a couple days to a day to maybe half a day. And sometimes I can even have a little bit of a tantrum for an hour or so and pull myself out of it. It's not about not feeling the intense emotions anymore. And I think that is one thing, unfortunately, that is misconstrued in the quote-unquote healing space, is that healing means never feeling bad emotions again, or never getting to the depths of those emotions. Being triggered, being hurt, being upset, being anxious, being overwhelmed, being sad, these are all normal parts of humanness. And so the goal is never to be happy all of the time. To me, I feel like the goal is to be able to soothe myself in these moments of extreme feelings. To be able to show up for myself, to be that adult to my inner child, because that's it, when I'm triggered, when I'm upset, when I'm throwing that tantrum, that is my inner child reacting, feeling. And to be that adult and give myself the love that I need, the care that I need, the acceptance that I need, the reassurance that I need, is teaching me that I am trustworthy. Building that inner trust is so fucking important to a happy life. If you can't trust yourself to be there for yourself, being vulnerable with somebody else is going to be so much more painful. Because when they hurt you, when they abandon you, quote unquote, when they leave you, when whatever it is that happens, when they say the wrong thing, when they hurt your feelings, which they're gonna do, everyone is capable of doing so. I hurt other people's feelings. I say the wrong thing sometimes. It doesn't make me a bad person, just like that the other person doing the same for you, unless they are a bad person, because, that happens too. But knowing that in those moments I can comfort me, that I can be there for me, that I can accept me, and know that whatever they're saying is maybe not true or not accurate, or for myself, being able to choose people that I enter a relationship with so much more autonomy, so much more discernment. I feel like the more I build self-trust, the more capable I am to live a happy life, because these external things are not going to affect me as deeply. They may affect me. I'm human. It's normal to be affected by the craziness of life going on, but knowing that I can comfort me, knowing that I can soothe me, trusting myself to make the right decisions for me, trusting myself to hold space, trusting myself to care for that inner hurt child, to that baby girl that I once was, because all she wants is love. All she wants is to know that somebody's going to be there for her and help her and care for her, not abandon her, neglect her, abuse her. She just wants to play. She wants to laugh. She wants to be accepted. She wants to be reassured. She wants to be asked if she's okay. She wants to cry when she's upset. but know that there's a stable, strong, and reassuring figure there to comfort her. To be that adult to your inner child. To be that loving, caring, beautiful adult to your inner child, if you have dealt with childhood trauma, is honestly fundamental to me. Like, I really do think it's fundamental. To know, to remind her, to remind them that they are worthy of love. That yes, these things shouldn't have happened. They should never happened, but they did. And because they did, you are no less worthy. You are no less lovable. And although horrible, although painful, you deserve so much. I want to give my inner child all of it, because she deserves all of it. She's a little girl, just like I would never be upset or angry or hurtful to a little baby. I shouldn't do that to myself. I shouldn't do that to that part of me. She is a part of me. And during this whole process, so many other things have been unpacked for me. Being able to look at my trauma, look at my inner child with a lot more compassion towards myself, with a lot more understanding towards myself, with a lot more reassurance and love towards myself, instead of shaming and blaming and being angry. Other things have had space to come up, and I can work on them with a lot more love and compassion. Like my ED, for instance. Dealing with that and moving through the phases that I've had to move through to get to the point where I am today has been so beautiful and profound, and I would not have been able to do it if I didn't start on this like self-compassion train. And again, it starts so small. In little micro moments of you saying you too to the waiter. And then they're like, enjoy your meal. And you're like, you too. Instead of being like, oh my God, I need to like bury my head in the sand and like not come up for like 3 days. And that was like so embarrassing and awful. Instead of shaming yourself in these like little moments that like really don't freaking matter in the grand scheme of life, those tiny little words of, it's okay. That was funny. That's really not that embarrassing. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry. People make mistakes. People say the wrong things sometimes. In these small moments of reassuring ourselves, they will grow. You'll notice in different areas in your life where you are shaming yourself because sometimes the world, society, expectations are kind of manipulated in this way of feeling empowering, and yet they're actually quite shameful. As an example of this, last night I did my Sunday journaling session. It's completely free. Everyone's allowed to join. So head over to my Instagram page and like watch my Instagram stories and like keep up to date. It happens every single Sunday at 1 p.m. EST. So super happy to have you there. But last night when I was doing this journaling session, one of the questions were about confidence. What does confidence look like to you? If you erase the societal expectations, what does it look like to you? And one of the girls, while we were chatting after the journaling session, shared that she realized as she was writing that she was writing a lot of superficial things, quote unquote. And when she caught herself, she changed course. Because unfortunately, so much of like society and people and external things kind of validate these external reassurances. We're constantly looking outside of us for assurance and acceptance. And although it's so normal to look outside of ourselves for love, when it comes to relationships and family and things of that nature, like we need people in our lives. And like, please do not take anything that I'm saying as like you only need yourself, because that's not the case at all. But I think when you can give yourself so much compassion, you trust yourself and you love yourself genuinely, then you are so much more capable of welcoming people into your life that are able to meet you there, that are able to hold space for you and laugh with you and play with you and check in on you. Since I have started this journey of self-compassion, I've noticed the different types of men that come into my life. And how after having one experience with somebody that was like so welcoming to my trauma, so considerate of my trauma, we talked about it and he held space for me, and having that experience with somebody that was just so present and so aware and so accepting also gave me hope that there are other people in this world that can do that for me too. And that was super, super, super healing for me. And I actually felt worthy of it. I felt worthy of his care. I felt worthy of, his attention and his presence and his care in these moments. And previously, when it came to intimacy, I struggled so much with allowing myself to feel vulnerable, to feel like it was okay to admit that I was scared. It was okay to admit that I didn't want to do something. It was okay to admit that I felt overwhelmed in a particular moment, or I needed to stop, or I needed to slow down, or I needed to cry. And having somebody that was there for me was such a beautiful nugget on my self-compassion journey, because I realized I was like, no, like this is what I need. Like this is the treatment that I accept now. This is what I accept in a relationship. And if somebody doesn't meet that, I don't want to be with them. And I'm not saying they have to be exactly the same as that other person, but like, I only want to welcome people that are able to see me, that are able to accept me and be there for me and check in on me and learn to love me. And I feel so worthy of that. I know that's what I deserve, because I know that I am valuable. I know that I am worthy. I know that I am lovable. And to really feel those things in my soul is, a continuous work in progress, because like I said, triggers happen, and that's so normal. And there's times where, those painful thoughts are going to come up and do come up, and I have to work through them. I take myself on walks, I do my self-care, I give myself space, but I never, ever, ever shame myself for feeling the things that I do, because that's not going to get me anywhere. Self-compassion is medicine, and I hope that you can bring it into some small micro moments in your life and continue on the journey of that, because eventually it will seep into those more difficult moments. You'll notice that you're giving yourself acceptance. You'll notice that you're giving yourself reassurance. You'll notice that you're telling yourself it's okay. And that's so beautiful. The first time I realized that I was giving myself reassurance when I was like in a difficult moment, I was like, oh my God, it's working. Something's working. And that almost made me cry more. I would also like to say, as I'm wrapping up this episode, that if you are looking for a tool for self-compassion and lots of different things, inner child work, relationships, trust, abundance, manifestation, like all of these juicy little topics, I just launched a journaling tool. So you can click the top link down in the description box or show notes, and it's called the Yearbook Journal. And there are 52 sessions of journaling prompts, each with 8 to 14 questions inside. So one session a week, 8 to 14 questions, and each week you're touching on a different topic as well. And if you're somebody that likes a lot more structure or needs some motivation in their journaling practice, I think this is going to be awesome for you. Lots of love, my friends, and I hope to see you again so very soon. Sending you so much love, and have a beautiful rest of your day.